Hi, my name is Vicky Feldman. I'm a product manager in Oracle Public Sector Revenue Management Suite of product. And this video tutorial will help you to learn how to configure and customize the main Oracle Public Sector Revenue Management Self Service features. This specific chapter will teach you how to use Form Designer in order to create new form. In order for us to do it, let's first log on to Self Service as the administrator. So let's click Login button and enter administrative user ID and password and click Login. This will enable configuration menu. So go to configuration menu and select Form Designer. So Form Designer is a tool which will allow us to define a form or edit existing form. Let's start from defining a new form. We will add a very simple tax form that only has a couple of the sections, personal information and some tax details. So let's give it a name, individual income sample. Category, define what type of the form it is, whether it's a business registration or a tax form. Form class tells whether it's complete form definition or a fragment, and start date or end date are optional fields. So I'm saying create, and this will open form definition section. So form definition section defines main attributes of the form itself. So I can give description of the form, and I'm saying simple, individual income form. This will not be shown on the actual form, but this is what is going to be shown when I wanna do the search for the forms. Form filing advisor is basically OPA interview, and you can link OPA guided assistance to the different levels in your form. You want your form to be as useful as possible, and in order to make your form useful, Form Designer allow you to use multiple techniques. Some of them are helps, some of them are footers, headers, and you can also link online guided assistance to the different levels. It means that somebody who sees the form can see the help for this form. For example, you want to advise a user whether he even needs to file this form or what type of documentation and information he needs to have in front of him before the form. You want to provide guided assistance for that, you can do that. And we will use existing OPA interview for individual income forms, which is called who should file this form. Okay, now availability, if you want this form to be available for the filing in the self-service during a specific period of time, you will specify start date, end date, and blackout period date. We are not going to use it here. So now let's go to the processing section. And processing section tells you, first of all, how you want to process your form. Async mode means that the form will be held in the SOA, and it will be processed asynchronously, and synchronous means that the form will be processed right away. Payment section. Payment. Do you want this form? Do you want to have a payment prompt after this form is filed, after the customer taxpayer hits submit button, and you can say payment required. And if you say payment requirement, when the user hits submit button, the system is going to prompt him to make a payment, right? You can specify, if you don't specify anything, by default this payment will go to form DLN, but you can specify a right payment destination. For example, if you want this payment to cover obligation or entire account, you can say so here. But if you don't say anything, by default the payment for this form will go to form DLN. You can either specify flat fee amount, or you can choose one of the form lines, which you will define later on, and say that the default amount for the payment should be the amount which is specified on this form line. You can put here the payment instruction. For example, please pay Now, the next attribute tells whether any documents should be loaded. For example, somebody the person who files the form should load supporting documents such as receipts or permits or any other documents required for the filing. You can say upload supporting document, and if you say that, it means that the system will ask a user to prompt him to upload supporting document, and you can provide supporting instruction. For example, please, and this supports HTML, so you can say please upload your documents. So upload will be in bold. Confirmation. This is the confirmation message that will be sent when the form is submitted. So you can say whether email is required or not, and if so, what email template can be used. For example, sample form email, and which message should be displayed upon the confirmation. Action section tells you which action should be available when this form is presented in front of the user. If you want to enable ability to copy the content of the form from the previous return, you can select them. If you want to allow taxpayer to validate the form before the form is submitted, you check this button. So now your definition is ready. We are saying save. And we proceed to Layout Designer. Layout Designer will allow you to define your form, and you know that the tax form has sections and it has lines, it can have table, and all of that you can define using Layout Designer. So first, let's create a section which will be called Personal Information. So let's click Insert Section button. So here you specify the name, and name is just the variable. So let's say personal info. Okay. And label will be personal information. Display sequence is going to be first section. It's non-recurrent section. There is no interview required for this form. And now help. Help is something which will be visible when the section is displayed. So it's going to be visible in the bubble. So let me show how it works. We're saying here this is the help. We're saying here this is the header. And we're saying here this is the footer. I'm doing it just in order to show you how it all going to be seen. So now I can click preview button. Preview button allows you to see your work in progress in any point of time you want to see. You will be able to see how the form that you are defining right now will be presented when it's rendered for the user. So look, we are saying preview, and we see that this form has only one section. The section is personal information, and this is the header, and this is the footer, right? So I want to go back to Form Designer, and I want to show you how you can do more sophisticated definition of footer and header. So I have here an example, and examples are available in our sample documentation. So this is more comprehensive header, and headers and footers support HTML. So they can be as comprehensive as HTML allows you to be. So I copied more sophisticated defined in HTML header. I copied more sophisticated defined in HTML footer, and let's see how our form is going to be displayed right now. We go to preview mode, and you see that the form header and footer much more fancy. So this is top of the section, this is bottom of the section, and here will be inserted the lines that we're going to define right now. I'm going to go back to return to Layout Designer, and I will add a couple of the fields. So in order to add a couple of the fields, I'm saying insert line. I need first click to to personal information section, and now I can say insert line. So I need to give a name to the line, and it will be name. The line will be called name. We can say taxpayer name. Taxpayer name. Taxpayer name. Display sequence will be 10. Line number, it doesn't have this line number. Now, I need to give the name to this line, and this is the label shows what would be displayed in the UI. So taxpayer name is the text that will actually be displayed in the form. Now I need to define this field, and I can either put the definition here, or if I have already existing field, I can copy definition from this field. If I go to component section, and this is the list of the fields which already exist in the system and which are already defined. So I can choose a field entity name, and I can either reference this field, and then the definition will be copied from how this field is defined, or I can copy field property. For example, I want to copy field property. So I'm going back to my layout designer, and I can still fix the definition that was copied from the base field. So it says that data length is 64, it's a text field, and this is what was copied. Now I can put help again. Please specify your name, and this field help will be displayed in the bubble. Here I can say last name, first name is a hint, and it tells how the name should be entered. It doesn't have any predefined value. I can put validation rule here, and if this field, if I want to run simple validation, I can define the rule and put it here, or I can put filing advisor, which is a peer rule. Now, there are some attributes here which are very important. I can say that this field is display only, this field is required, and then the system will prompt me to enter this field. So let's say it's just required. I can say that this field is masked, and then it will not be shown. It will be some kind of masked characters shown when the data is entered. And payment amount means that this is the amount which the user will be prompted to pay. So this is a simple field. We're not going to do anything fancy here, but for example, my next field will be social security number. No, it is going to be ID type. So next field will be ID type. ID type. And this is the second field. Let me call it ID type. And I want this field to be a lookup. And lookup, it means that the value from this field will be selected from drop down. So let me find existing lookup. So if lookup is already exist, I can use existing lookup. If not, I can add it. Okay, so this is my second field, and my next field will be social security number or ID number. So let's add another line, ID number. So the first information that I want to be entered in the personal information section include taxpayer name, ID type, and ID value. So this is third field. Okay, and the label is ID number, and it's gonna be text is fine, and the length is, let's say, 20. Okay, so let's see how it looks in preview so far. Okay, so this is required field taxpayer name, and this is my help. Please specify your name, right? This is ID type, and certain selection is available based upon lookup field that I specified, and this is ID number. This is my footer, this is my header, and I'm happy about that. So now I want to go back to layout designer, and I want to add the second section, and the second section will be line items. Line item. Okay. So label will be line items. Display sequence will be 20. This is non-recurrent section, so I'm not gonna give any header or footer. I'm just gonna put a couple of the fields. So the first field will be gross amount. Display sequence is 10. Line number is 1. Gross amount. This is currency field. Okay. 15.2. Next field is tax rate. And display sequence is 20. It's a tax rate. And here, this is a number field. And data length, actually it's 2. And precision is 2. And I want this field to be display only. And I want to define tax rate here. Let's say it's 13%. Okay. And I want to give a hint, tax rate in percentage. Okay. And the last field will be tax amount. Insert line. I want to call this line tax amount. It's a third field and it's going to be called tax amount. And it's going to be currency again. Definition is 15.2. And I want this field to be payment amount line. And for example, I want to attach a payroll to that. And I will take just any IP rule just to show you how it works. For example, that. Okay, so now let's save it and let's look at preview. So let's look how our form looks now. So we go to preview and this is our first section, and this validation that our taxpayer name is required work. So I have to put something here, Jim Smith, for example. It's our taxpayer, and then I'm going to line item and note how this amount is input field, this amount is display only field, and it has a predefined value, and it has a hint which we just entered. And this is our total tax amount, and note this hyperlink. This is online interview which I specified next to this field, and this is a random interview. I'm showing to you just an example of how interview can be linked to the tax form, but the point is to any field in the form, any section, or in the top level. This is the interview that will link to the top level on the form. Remember, when we define the form, you can link online help, which is defining IPA. There is another training chapter that explains how to define OPA rules, but in this chapter you can understand how to link this rule to your form. You can see that this is very easy. You just go back to the form, you go to the field in which you want to define your interview, and you populate it in the filing advisor column, right? So we checked our form, we're happy with this form, we're saying save, and what I need to do now, I need to enable this form. I need to make a couple of operations. So I'm happy with the layout, I check everything, I like the way this form looks. Life is good, so I'm finalizing a layout, and this creates the version of the form. So now I can go to enable the form option and enable this form. After I enable this form, it will become available for users for online use. So this is my simple individual income form. I'm saying search, and I want to activate it now. Yes, okay. So now let's see how it looks for the end user. So I'm end user, I'm going to online services page, file online, file tax return, and this is my new form, simple individual income form. This is the OP rule that we attached to that, right? So taxpayer can verify whether he needs to file his individual income or not. Now I'm going to this form and I can start entering the data. So it asks me to put the taxpayer name, and unless I put it, it will not let me proceed any further. And this is because I made this form required. So let's say I'm saying that this is Smith, Mary, and she has a social security, and the social security is 1230909. No, 0909. And now let's enter line items. So this is our gross amount, 100, 1000, and I need to apply 13% of tax rate and calculate what will be my tax amount, 130. And later on in the training, you can see the chapter how to make how to make form business rule engine to calculate this amount for you automatically. But for now, I'll just put it manually. I can cancel this form in any point of time because this system allows me to do it. I can, if there is already existing return in the system for this form, I could have copied it from this return, and I can say that this form is ready. So now let's check what happens once I say ready. So when I say ready, the system should display back to me the information that was entered, and it does. It displays back to me the information and read-only mode. So this is my personal information and these are the line items. If I say print, the PDF version of this form will be created. And what happens by default, if I wouldn't change anything, if I wouldn't create my own template, BI Publisher will take the information that I've entered and render it in our default template, which is provided with a base package, with a demo. So you can see that it renders in a very simple manner personal information and line item. So if you want, you can create more comprehensive form-specific BI Publisher template and plug it in because it's pluggable. So now let's go back to online services, and I'm happy with my form. I'm saying submit. So when I say submit, it asks me to put my email address because it wants to send me a confirmation on the address that I will provide. So I need to put my address and I need to confirm it. I say OK, and the system sends the information to backend, which is in our case revenue management system, and it shows back the confirmation ID, and it also shows back the message, confirmation message. So now how this message was created. This message was created based upon your configuration. So if you remember when we created the form designer, in form designer, the main section of the form, we said in confirmation the message should be displayed. So this message is defined in the system option. So this is the message body, this is the message body, and these are the message parameter. If you're unhappy with this message, if you want to create your own confirmation, you create your new message, you create the params, you define the params, and here in form designer you will put the message number. So I'm happy with the confirmation, and now I can do two things. I can upload the files. So when I say upload, see what it does? It shows me the upload instructions, and you specify your upload instructions here. And remember how we said that HTML notations are supported. This is defined in bold. So if I look back in my upload instructions, this is defined in bold. If you want to put different upload instructions, you can customize them. You can go and put here a different message. And now I can go and I can attach the file. And once I attach this file, it will be maintained in Content Manager. So I'm saying upload, and the file will be upload, and it will go to the Content Manager. Or ultimately, I can go and make a payment. So if I say make payment, the system displays me my total amount due, and this is the amount that was defined in the amount due line. And remember how in form instruction I said that this is a payment line. So the system goes, it finds the line which is marked as the payment line, and it finds the amount specified on this line, and it shows it back to me. And it also shows me the payment instructions. And the payment instructions, if you remember, I define also here in payment instructions section in the form definition. So then I can make a payment, and the payment will be allocated to DLN by default, which I also can change. In override payment destination, remember how we said that by default the payment will be allocated to the DLN, but you can change that. So basically, this is how the form definition work, and this concludes our today's session. So have fun designing your form.